One, how did you do that? And then what actions did that lead to that helped you be successful?
Right. So just the shift. I don't like to give up. Not on myself, not on anybody. I've had moments where I did give up, but I thought, how did that make me feel? I felt like I was defeated. I couldn't go on with, the direction I was going in. So I looked at myself. I wrote down, what do I want to do? And that's the thing. I'm not big on journaling. Some people can do it. I can't do it. I'm not one to be like, what's my intention for the day?
Sure.
I can't do that. I don't know. I tried. I write like a serial killer. We're not doing that.
What's that mean?
I have terrible handwriting.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
She's like, wait, what does that mean?
She's like writing a manifesto or something.
Right. She's like, ooh. But, I went back and I wrote down, what do I want to do with my life?
Okay.
What do I want to do, not just health and fitness, but what do I want to do with my life? I want to go back and really say I did something. I changed the way I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to accept failure in any way, shape, or form. This isn't me in my final form. And went back, looked at my fridge, said, nope, we're not having that. We're not doing that. We're not doing this. Went back to just materialistic things, closet stuff. This purse, don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to spend $800 on that? Okay, cool. No. So I stripped myself to the basics. This is what I need. I'm good with this. Now I just need, and the good thing is I had a lot of people in my corner really pushing me, and I think that's what it is too.
So what you're saying is the fundamentals is what made the difference. And you don't like to journal, but you did write it down one time.
At least once.
Yeah, and then you have that reference.
Right.
Right. You wrote it down to prove to yourself that you're serious about it.
Right.
And then we stripped out all the extras. And we use that word fundamentals a lot. It's like fundamentals, whether it's nutrition, whether it's, exercise, doing the right exercises, focusing on the fundamentals, not getting crazy or anything. And I understand, like, sometimes in bodybuilding, you do have to get a little more specific.
Right.
But general health and fitness, you can kind of do those fundamentals and do them really well.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how stripping out all that extra stuff, like how did you feel afterwards? Did you just feel more free? Did you feel more focused? Were you able to hit the gym harder? How did that go?
Honestly, all the above. Right. I did feel free. I felt like this huge weight that was lifted off my shoulders. It was a lot of really just going back to the reason why I started being an athlete in the first place. I did it for myself, but at the end of the day, I just, again, felt free. There was clarity in my mind of how I wanted to do things. And that's probably the biggest thing I got out of all of this. It's clarity, right? I go back at the end of the week, there's always a good reset. And that's what I do. I kind of take time to myself and think, what do I want to do this
So you
week?
still do that now?
I still do.
Yeah.
I take time, my dogs are barking, but, I happen to tune that out, and that's okay. But I take time to myself, whether it's 20, 30 minutes, time to myself, no music, no TV, no nothing, and just think about how I want to, go about my week. What didn't I do last week that I could improve on and focus on this coming week? Which is strange because, again, I was never a planner. I was like, tell me what to do. That's okay. Coach is doing this, telling me you got to do that. You got to do that. I'm like, okay.
But you get a plan.
I
do. You know that you're not the planner, but you get someone else to make the plan for you so you can follow through. So whatever it takes to get the plan.
Whatever it does, yeah. Whatever it takes to get the plan going. But it did set me off into saying, I need to take time to myself. And I think that we don't do that enough.
Sure.
We don't take time to ourselves to just reflect and say, okay, this past week probably wasn't the greatest week, but how am I going to improve this coming week?
How do you even start that?
I wake up, I will sit in silence. I'll sometimes stand in silence and literally just look around and be like, okay, I don't want to wake up like how I did the past few days, and just take time, look at myself in the mirror and said, all right, we're going to do great things this week. Let's make it happen. Whatever, obstacles are going to come in my way, it's just a test. That's just how I take it. They're little tests. Tests aren't put in front of us if we weren't able to conquer those. And that's kind of the biggest thing.
What percentage of those tests do you feel like you ace?
If I'm being honest, week to week, it's probably different, right?
Yeah.
Like some weeks are greater, some weeks are they're okay. I got through it, but we're probably looking at like 80 to 90%.
There you go.
I feel
Nice.
like
I feel like it's a good.
it's
yeah.
right.
Because you need a little bit of failure, to continue to get the great feeling out of acing it.
I
Right?
mean,
yeah.
look at that first competition. I failed.
Right.
I failed.
Mm-hmm.
But I took what I learned from that failure, went into the following show, won, took to that next show, won, the next show, won. And one of my favorite shows that I've ever done was the Arnold.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang,
Wow.
that's
Cool.
It was-
Do
it
you have
was
to
cool.
qualify for that one?
This is back in the day. This is the Arnold Amateur back
Okay.
then. But
Okay.
it's still,
That's a really cool.
this
show.
is back when you had to still apply for the show
Mhm.
and do all that. Before
Okay.
it was like an open, like anybody can do this. Yay.
Mhm.
But it was fun. It was my favorite show. I didn't fly to Ohio. I drove.
Wow.
Well, because I hate flying.
Okay.
Water retention,
Yeah, yeah.
meals. I can't do it. Some people can do that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I was passenger princess through and through. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I'd much rather. If it's more, my maximum driving is like 3-4 hours. If it's beyond that, put me on a plane.
Oh, I didn't drive, so I was knocked out half the time anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
You know,
yeah.
water loading, so gallons of water just going through. I'm like, I got to stop.
Oh,
I gotta
yeah,
stop.
I could imagine. And how far into your career were you when competing in such a large show like that?
Let's see. That was already a year
Okay.
in. I was still a baby competitor in everyone else's eyes, but being able to do a show that big, even as an amateur, is crazy. That's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure. You want to win.
Well, that's a lot of progress in 1 year too.
Yeah.
To go from dead last to competing in an Arnold amateur in 1 year is really saying a lot to your work ethic.
You know, some people can go straight into big shows like that. I went into each show taking a little something from each show. Okay, what can I improve on? What can I be better at? But not just physically, just mentally too. Like, how do I? And when I'm backstage, it's just me. I never had a coach in my corner at my backstage. They're always just texting me like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you doing good?" Sometimes coaches will get back there, but at the Arnold, it was just you. I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah, because it's like bigger. I guess there's not as much. Well, there's
Yeah.
just so many competitors and stuff. Maybe in a situation like that.
You know, and interesting is when you go backstage and you see these competitors, you think, oh, everyone's just at it for each other. They don't want you to win. At the end of the day, it was this huge family like dynamic. Everybody just wanted everybody to win. It was weird. I had never experienced that because I come from a competitive background where I don't want you to win. I want you to lose.
Yeah, well, in a sport like this, I really do think the most competition is with yourself,
Yep.
not with others.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost sounds like the running community in a little way. I feel like a lot of people just want other runners to do well, and like you're mostly just trying to battle your like past race times or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I could never run, so good for that.
Oh, you should try.
Oh, no, I did.
Yeah, we
I got
can
shins.
go on
I
a
got
run
a
real
horrible
quick.
shin split. Right? We probably can.
We can hit a run after this.
You know what? That's fine.
Don't
And then
worry.
after that, we'll grab some food. Why not?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
We'll go pick up some
love it.
bison, shepherd's pie.
That's
There
what
we
I'm
go.
talking about. Yes. Now
Feels
we're
like
talking.
sign me up, get
Yes.
my shoes.
Just let me know what track we're hitting, what trail. You know?